I was going to do driver once in the morning I vote, and then these two aren't ever going to take each other for all 4 days.
What? I don't know. Why don't you use Jake's driver?
All right. Peace in, Julia. Today, gentlemen, ladies, thank you very much. Today is, of course, 9/11. We're not going to spend like the whole period talking about it, but as your social studies / history teacher, it's important that we recognize it. It's important because we do need to honor the people that day and every day, but in particular that day where such tragedy that you're going to see unfold. There are people amongst us that should give you some hope that when they see stuff like that happening, they don't run away, they actually run towards it in an effort to save other people. So that's the first reason that we show it and remember it, to commemorate those brave people that do the work they do every day, and in particular when it really mattered and they had to do it. How many people were saved by their efforts, we'll never fully know, right? Number two, we show it and remember it because we have to be reminded, especially in a class where we're studying worldviews, that all worldviews, though they share some similarities, and we said there's overlap, some worldviews at the extremes are really go against each other. And one in particular, if you're at the extreme of that worldview, which thankfully a small percentage that we'll learn are at that extreme, it can be very dangerous. So we need to be vigilant. We need to know. We need to understand history so that we don't repeat it, right? And we need to know how other people think. So we need to know, it's important, who we put in positions of leadership. Do they understand the world? Quite frankly, as Americans, we need to do a better job of vetting these people that run for office, especially at the national level, to make sure they know what the world's about. We need to know their worldview. So, it's going to start with a disclaimer, because if there is anyone that, you're very emotional or whatever and you don't want to watch it, I did pick one. I've seen many of them. I've seen too much of it, but I don't watch it regularly anymore. But this one's from CBN, which is Christian Broadcast Network, so I think if there's any swearing, it's going to be bleeped out. People, is it taking the Lord's name in vain if you say, "Oh my God," in a circumstance like this? I don't know. It is interesting that you hear a lot of people use God's name when just the first thing into their mind when they see such a tragedy, even if they're not believers. But I don't think language-wise it's bad. But if you just don't want to see it, you can go out in the hall. And it's not the most graphic one. It's not the most graphic one in pictures, and it's not the most graphic one when it comes to audio. If you've ever had to or chose to listen to some of the audio of people that have had to call their loved ones or felt the need to call them when they're on the plane or in the building, it's as heart-wrenching as anything can possibly be. When you're in that situation, when you know that there's no way out of it and you're going to die, and you hear that conversation that they have with their loved one. Again, this is all. Why do we study history? Those who do not remember the past are doomed, destined to repeat it. Can somebody hit the shade button? There's a button on there. It looks like a blind on the screen. Anybody? Somebody? Thanks, Drew. Has anybody ever discussed this with their parents, grandparents? It's one of those times in history where anybody that was an adult can say, I know exactly where I was just like when I was growing up, what did the adults in my life, they said, I know exactly where I was, what I was doing when
Kobe died.
my grandparents would have been Pearl Harbor. That's your generation, yeah. Or JFK was shot when that news came down.
American Airlines emergency line, please state your emergency.
The cockpit's not answering. Somebody stabbed in business class. And I think there's mates that we can't breathe. I don't know. I think we're getting hijacked.
Somebody hit the World Trade Center or
The Trade Center.
World Trade
Trade
Center.
Center.
There's a fire on the upper floors.
This just in, you are looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning
that a plane has crashed into the World Trade Center. We don't.
So right about this time, people start calling the school. I was at the school in Salem, and because they see what's happening, people are freaking out. So the office comes down, lets me and another teacher know what was going on. We've got a TV, so we go into this side room to kind of turn it on, see what's going on. We already knew that there were people of this certain worldview that hate America. We're known as the Great Satan to the extremist and the Islamic worldview. They had already tried to destroy the World Trade Center in 1993 by blowing it up from the basement. So we kind of knew. So my individual thought process at this time, we just turned it on. So probably right about 9 o'clock, this started going down at, like I said, 8:46. So by the time we have it on TV, this is about what we're seeing, like a plane. How's a plane accidentally fly into the World Trade Center? So a lot of people are already like, can that be an accident? But it's still possible, right? We didn't know if it was a jet. We didn't know if it was like some individual flying their little plane. But then we're soon going to find out. Obviously no accident.
Don't know anything more than that. We don't know if it was a commercial aircraft. We have no idea how many were on board or what the extent of the injuries are right now.
Jules, this is Ryan, on an airplane that's been hijacked. If things don't go well, I'm looking for. I just want you to know I absolutely love you. I want you to do good. Don't have to time. And I just totally love you. And I'll be away from them. Bye, baby. Bye-bye.
Oh my God.
That looks like a second plane.
Oh, there's another one. Another plane just hit. Right. Oh my God. Another plane has just hit. It hit another building. Flew right into the middle of it.
Oh my goodness, there's another one.
This seems to be on purpose.
Oh my goodness, now it's obvious, I think.
I leaned over and whispered into his right ear, a second plane hit the second tower. America is under attack.
Today we've had a national tragedy. 2 airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. We're looking at a live picture from Washington, and there is smoke pouring out of the Pentagon. It would appear that there has been another major explosion, this one in the nation's capital. There is smoke in the air over the Pentagon.
This is as close as we can get to the base of the World Trade Center. You can see the firemen assembled here, the police officers, FBI agents, and you can see the 2 towers. A huge explosion now raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way!
We're getting reports that a part of the tower, the second tower, the one a bit further to the south of us, has collapsed. We are checking on that.
United 93, that traffic for you is 1 o'clock, 12 miles eastbound 370. Negative contact, we're looking at United 93.
When I took the call over, there was a soft-spoken, calm gentleman. I asked him his name. He told me Todd Beamer. He said, Lisa, would you recite the Lord's Prayer with me? He said, okay, let's roll.
We've got a report from a guy at 24 of a cloud of black smoke off his lot.
Wheeling Pit 97.
But we don't have confirmation.
United Airlines flight number 93 left Newark at 8:01 this morning en route to San Francisco. It went down in Shanksville, Pennsylvania.
The north tower is leaning. Oh my God, there it goes!
I hope I live. I hope I live. It's coming down on me.
And there, as you can see, perhaps the second tower, the front tower, the top portion of which is collapsing. Good Lord.
Both trade towers, where thousands of people work, on this day, Tuesday, have now been attacked and destroyed. There is simply no way to accurately describe the emotion this evokes.
I want you all to know that America today is on bended knee in prayer for the people whose lives were lost here, for the workers who work here, for the families who mourn. This nation stands with the good people of New York City and New Jersey and Connecticut as we mourn the loss of thousands of our citizens. I can hear you. I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knock these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
September 11 will go down in our history as a day to remember. None of us will ever forget the pictures of our courageous firefighters and police, many of whom have lost friends and colleagues, or the hundreds of people attending or standing patiently in line to donate blood. A tragedy like this could have torn our country apart, but instead, it has united us. This event can give a message of hope. Hope for the present and hope for the future. The cross tells us that God understands our sin and our suffering. And from the cross, God declares, I love you. The story does not end with the cross. For Easter points us beyond the tragedy of the cross to the empty tomb. It tells us that there is hope for eternal life. For Christ has conquered evil and death and hell. My prayer today is that we will feel the loving arms of God wrapped around us, and will know in our hearts that He will never forsake us as we trust in Him. And this is going to be a day that we will remember as a day of victory. May God bless you all.
Questions, comments? Still people feeling the effects 22 years later of health conditions brought on by whether they're in the building. So much more to talk about and think about when it comes to that. But for our case in UTT, it's the understanding that there are, in this world of competing worldviews, it's incumbent on us to be the light and of truth that we're called to be, and do our little part in with our circle, and hopefully there's a ripple effect, and we can at least limit the evil in the world. If we'll never reach, which we won't, utopia or heaven on earth, we can do our part to limit the hate. And history, why do we learn it? Those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it. The people that carried out this, those 9 men that carried this out, were in the United States. Some of them the FBI did know, and they were on a watch list. And they freely moved around the United States and took the flying classes, and no one would know who they were. In our house over the years, we've talked about how they got up in the morning, and there's movies made about this, documentaries. People with this kind of evil, and I'm not saying it to scare you, I'm saying it to tell you that it's the reality of the world and the reality of why it's so important that we can only do so much, right? You can't fix the whole world, but you can fix your world. You can fix your own heart, and you can affect the people around you. That's all you can do. But the history lesson, are we learning from the past? Right now, in the United States, over the last several years, millions of people have come across the southern border. That's not an exaggeration, millions. And not an exaggeration just in the last few years. And truth is, many of those people, we don't know who they are. They're not just coming from Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras. They're not just coming from Latin America. We have documentation of, I don't know the exact number, so I'm not going to give it, but it's well over 100. It's hundreds of people that we've detained at the border, and then how many have we not detained that we know come from countries or they are on watch lists. Yet, we sit here today with a border that's like a sieve, and people are just coming through. How many of them, thankfully the worldview that brought this to our land, that the percentage of people that think in that extreme is very low, but they exist. And here we are. So if you don't like politics and you don't want to be involved, you have to be. You have to be knowledgeable about what's going on in the world so we can choose leaders that also... Listen, is it important that we vet the people that we choose to be in positions of leadership and make these decisions, that we know their worldview? So as future voters next year, this year, 2 years, it is important that you learn in civics, that you participate, understand. Be knowledgeable so you can make wise decisions. No other questions, comments? You might be fretting like some that, what? The first test is Wednesday? All the stuff that we've gone over so far, we'll review it here real quick. Here's what I'm going to do for you, since I know that weekends you try to avoid as much as you can thinking about school at all. So now you only have Monday night and Tuesday night. So I am vowing to you, as I always do, I go the extra mile. I'm going to put a quote-unquote quiz. It's just for practice, so don't worry about it. It's not a grade. But I'll put something that's going to be very similar to the actual test you take Wednesday on Classroom to help get you ready. And then we'll go through the... Oh, I do have another video to watch. Not about 9/11. All right. No other questions about 9/11? Comments? In the first period, there was someone that had family there, so it was kind of hard for them. Anybody in that situation here? Anybody ever see Flight 93, the movie? I'm not recommending it. I saw it, and all it can do. Like, in the one part they said it's hard to put into words if you were living at that time. And as a teacher, while this is all unfolding, you got people calling to school, you got little kids, literally elementary kids, wondering, seeing what the teachers are all in the hallway talking, wondering what's going on, being told that they're going to go home because we didn't know what was happening. As far as at this time, on 22 years ago, we didn't know if there was going to be more. parents are like, I want my children home with me. My second born, my wife's home by herself, watching TV, freaking out. He's going to be born 3 or 5 weeks after this, 6 weeks after this. But, of course, my experience doesn't compare to the people that live there, especially the first responders that, look, that might be their job, but you can choose not to do it, right? There you are, you're a fireman, you're a policeman. Hey, this is my job, this is what I've been trained to do. And then you look at the situation, you're still a human being, and you can choose not to do it. But they chose to do it. While others were running away, they ran in. They ran into the building that was on fire with jet fuel. What is a worldview? Just another voice besides mine or the author's.
People think holding the right worldview is of little importance, but I beg to differ.
That might be you. You might be thinking this class is just another academic exercise and I don't really care about worldview because I don't like politics and I don't like to think about it. Can't we all just get along? I just want to live my life.
Let me tell you a story to explain why. In the summer of 2010, Ayesha Mohammadzi appeared on the cover of Time magazine. There's nothing unusual about a beautiful young woman appearing on a magazine cover, but Ayesha stood out because of the torture she suffered after she fled her abusive Taliban fighter husband. It was a forced marriage. She was caught and returned to her spouse, whereupon he and members of his family took her into the mountains, cut off her nose and ears, and left her to die. In the worldview of Ayesha's family, she deserved what happened to her. But if you think Canadians would universally condemn such grotesque brutality, you would be sadly mistaken. When Canadian teacher Stephen Anderson presented Ayesha's story to his grade 12 students, many insisted they could not say that what she suffered was wrong. We may not agree with such things here in Canada, some said, but maybe over there it's okay. Others said it was just wrong to judge other cultures. It soon became obvious to Anderson that his students, like many Canadians, had embraced moral relativism, a worldview that says there is no objective right and wrong, that each individual, each society, must choose what is right or wrong for themselves. Now, before we go any further, let me define this word that we've been using, worldview. A worldview is a way of understanding what the world is and how it works. And I hope you can see from my opening illustration, what you believe about the way the world works has a huge impact on you and everyone else. Both Ayesha and the students who accepted her treatment in the name of diversity were victims of suboptimal worldviews. So I say again, having the right worldview matters. The question is, how do you know if your worldview is right? Here are some principles to help answer that question. First, consider that everyone has a worldview and no view is neutral. Some try to argue that all worldviews have equal merit and that no worldview should be considered better than another, but that argument can't stand up to scrutiny. Is the racist worldview of the Ku Klux Klan equal to the generous equality fought for by Martin Luther King Jr.? Surely your answer would be no, thus demonstrating that you don't think all views are equal. Here's a second principle to guide your search for a truly accurate worldview. We live in a nation where, within certain restraints, you have a charter right to believe what you want. But just because you have a right to your view, that does not make your view right. It's very possible that what you believe doesn't correspond with reality, or at least is mistaken on a few significant points. The third and last principle to keep in mind is the need for a worldview to comprehensively grasp all of reality. You probably know the story of the blind men and the elephant, because each man touched only a small part of the elephant, the trunk, the ear, the leg, the tail. Each came away with a distorted view of what an elephant truly is. The same is true in the quest for a worldview. We are all limited in our comprehension of the world around us. How then can we know when we've got hold of an all-encompassing worldview that truly understands everything about how the world works? Well, what if human beings could see the world from God's perspective? That's exactly what Christianity claims. Because our worldview is based upon God's revealed truth found in the Bible, ours is the only view that is truly comprehensive and fundamentally correct. That's why, for instance, Jesus could say to his disciples, "I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." John 14:6. Did you catch what just happened? Jesus is telling us two things. First, that a correct worldview must be based upon all that Jesus taught, and second, that God and truth can only be known through faith in him. In the words of Christian apologist Douglas Groothuis, Christianity is an integrated worldview that is objectively, universally, and absolutely true, reasonable, knowable, and existentially pertinent to both individuals and entire cultures, unquote. We know this is true because Jesus said so. Groothuis then reminds Christians that because our worldview is true and comprehensive, we need to listen to the Apostle Peter when he exhorts us to be ready to give an answer to those who ask about the hope that we have. And in this context, it's important to note that our hope is built upon a biblical worldview, and that we should do this, Peter says, with gentleness and respect. 1 Peter 3:15. I'm Schaefer Parker with...
Okay, so hopefully you're not apathetic. Hopefully you're not treating this as just another academic exercise, even though it's not Bible class, that you're wholeheartedly, little plug for chapel in a couple weeks, endeavoring to know God more intimately so that you know what truth is. Not only for your own eternity, but for the eternity of everyone you ever come in contact with. Not only for eternity, but let's face it, even though we know that there's an eternity and bad things are going to happen, I think we all want to make the world a better place around us. So it's important that we understand all those different worldviews in the world. All right, like I said, I'm going to put kind of a practice quiz on Classroom. But for a review, real quick, what do we base this study of understanding the times on? We want to make sure we are renewing our minds. Don't get comfortable. Be wise. Someone out there might be resisting all of this and thinking, I don't have a worldview. I just kind of take the world as it comes and goes. And no, you do. You can reject it and deny it all you want, but you do. Remember that all the worldviews have overlap. These are the 6 dominant worldviews, but it doesn't mean they're in separate boxes and they're not integrated. As that guy just said, Christianity is integrated. It's all encompassing because it's all truth. Christ is the way, truth, and life. Some way or another, all of these subjects, these 5 right here, affect your life. Even if you're an atheist, you have some thoughts about God, right? So, how do you see God? What is your theology? You have one. And if you don't endeavor to learn more about God through His Word and through prayer, is your theology right? There is a right theology. Because there is one God, one Spirit, right? One Holy Spirit that we seek to inform us. So there is an answer. It doesn't mean we as humans are ever going to arrive at it, but that doesn't mean we don't try, right? In your first period systematic theology, that's what it is, after all, right? Even the person that wrote that is a human being striving with all they got, more than we've done, right? And then we look at that, and it informs us of the people that dedicate their lives to studying not just, Not just looking at the verses and memorizing, but studying the root of the verse, the language that the verse came from. And then we trust that those people with their whole hearts are seeking to know God at the most intimate level possible. And we glean what they've done in that class and this class because we want to know God more intimately. Basically on the quiz, of course, you're going to have to know. If the question says, hey, what's the fundamental study of knowledge, reality, and existence? I was going to say, oh, that's philosophy, as opposed to study of the mind. And then we also know that psychology is not or literally the study of the mind, it's a study of the soul. These 5 also affect your life, whether you want them to or know it or not. Maybe sociology is the only time you'll ever think of sociology is in this class when you had to, or you got to go and you got to take it because, hey, that's the only class offered at that time at the university that fulfills that elective things I have to take from my overall education. So maybe I'll take a sociology class or a philosophy class or an economics class. But it still affects you whether you want to study it or not. Most people's most hated subject, politics, you can try to avoid it, it's still going to affect you. Why not learn it and learn to make the wisest decision when it comes to how we use our resources? Is secularism a religion? Is secular humanism a religion? The people the secularists and Marxists that look at us and when we offer our insight, they'll say, oh, that's just based on your religion. That you don't know that. That's just a faith thing. You're basing it on your religion. Well, when we dive into the woods, we find out that they're religion too. Secular humanism is itself a religion. Marxism, we have to deal with it. Your generation's got to go through their battle with this failed over and over 0% success rate philosophy about how we use our resources. Well, if you don't know what Marxism is, you don't know how to combat it. Do you think you're going to be able to just exist and hope everybody else takes care of it? Listen, if we, the Christians, and you, the chosen, sitting here right now, whether you want to be or not, raised by the parents that you were raised by and the grandparents and all the people that have invested in your life. You're here for a reason. And hopefully you leave here equipped and desiring to be, as our mission statement says, the young men and women of God that God intends you to be. Too many sad stories of students that sat where you're sitting and did the academic exercises and never affected their hearts. Tragic. Hopefully your minds are open, your hearts are open to what we're teaching. Because Marxism is evil when it gets down to it. Try to help you see that. Postmodernism, perhaps the most confusing, because you can't pin them down. It's like trying to I'm not going to say it right. You try to pin Jello or something to the wall, because they kind of take the easy way out of everything, right? They don't put their trust in anyone. They don't judge anyone. They hold themselves up as they're the philosophy that's the best because they're not going to judge anyone. No one's right or wrong. They're able to accept everyone. And on a basic human feeling level, that's kind of a comfortable place to be. Well, as Christians, are we called to be in a place of comfort? There is a right and wrong. And at the core, you're not judging other people's behavior. when you are living out and proselytizing and witnessing to people and telling them about God, you're not judging. God's made the judgment. He's revealed his judgment to us. You're just the messenger. And sometimes people want to kill the messenger. Hopefully not literally. Hopefully just figuratively in your life. But the postmodernists, yeah. Yep. Might as well take your stuff. They question everything. They even listen, they're going to question you as a Christian. They're going to question the Muslim that thinks they have the truth. They're going to question the new spiritual. They're going to question the secularists. They're going to question science because they don't believe or trust anything. Skepticism, cynicism is the coin of the realm. New spirituality. While postmodernists might be the most difficult to deal with, new spiritualists, I mean, I don't know how you could, I don't know how, I can't ever effectively explain it because it's almost unexplainable how you can really believe that the physical world is really just a construct of our minds, which of course aren't physical, and that everything is spiritual, the opposite of secularism. And then Islam, the extremists there. Thankfully we'll learn that most people that are Muslim do not adhere to the fundamental teachings of the Quran. They are not extremists. But let's say, I told you, I gave you this stat, I think. Let's say that over 2 billion people in the world identify as Muslim. And let's say 10% of them are extreme. How many people is that, math students? Let's say there was 2 billion Muslims and only 10% were extremists. Jihadists, they're called. How many people is that? Do the math. If 2 billion are identified as Muslim and only 10% are extreme, how many people is that?
I'm going to guess 2 million.
More?
200 million.
200 million. That means there's 200 million people on this earth that have that extreme view that if you're not Muslim, you don't even deserve to live. You need to be forced into conversion, and if you don't convert, then you deserve to die. Or what happened to that young lady? Listen, those people really believe what they really believe that what they believe is really real. To brutalize a loved one, quote unquote, like that. Yeah. But our emotions get more intense when it's people that we are close to. All emotions.
I got the notes. I know you said that there's a quiz on.
Well, Alina's going to be here in a minute.
Alina's right there. Alina will remember to make me.
You can, when you make those copies, where are you going to be?
In my, down in the spirit room.
You take a copy right from this.
Thanks. I know you won't forget me.
I Big.
You are not Mr. Franken.
Where's she at? Oh, those poor other teachers. They might have teachers aides. They don't have one. Poor things. I got the best. I got the best. And I made sure of it. Now what? Well, anything exciting over the weekend? Yeah, actually. Had an exciting game Friday night. Jackson Milton won on a last-second field goal over Miserable Ridge. I know. What's going on? I thought Western Reserve wasn't any good this year.
That's what I thought.
And all of a sudden they're killing people. Columbiana. Right.
We have been good since
Right. And then Saturday, unfortunately, she must have been in 4th grade because it was the JV level of the little kids, 3rd and 4th, and they're 15. And she's one of Springfield's best players. For right here, snap. I mean, yeah, leg dangling. It was screaming. It was disgusting. Ugh. No, I didn't want to do that. What's your signature band song at halftime? Like, you have one you do, it's like, okay, like alright, which one did you do this? Wait, were you home?
No, we're not.
I guess you performed it, right?
Yeah.
What was your main song? Don't tell me.
Sweet Caroline.
Sweet Caroline? Nice.
So we play 5 o'clock on Sweet Caroline.
Nice.
And then in a couple games, we're switching 5 o'clock world to a little bit of soul.
I don't know either.
It's good.
How about Africa? Have you heard old school music?
I'm sure. It'd be interesting to, like when we do switch this song, I'm not obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And then we're playing new stuff for homecoming.
Like Homecoming's coming up already.
It didn't even dawn on me.
Season started way too early.
It's new. Used to there not be. And I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
There is no. It's always interesting to see that. I mean, our band is small, but like, yeah.
Not about small. I was at Sebring game. Maybe 14. Uneven in each other.
I think who's been it was, but they, like their band are monster and stuff like that. And their band is really small. But they still went out there and tried, so I give them props.
Great, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to like, hey, this isn't very good, but God bless the kids that are out there going anyway. Just like when teams are broken up. Doesn't mean kids aren't trying.
We have about.
Excuse this interruption for a quick announcement. During activity period today, high school, you have class meetings. 9th grade, you will go to the home ec. 10th grade, you will go to room 305. 11th grade to Mrs. Martin in 304. And 12th grade to the auditorium. Middle school, activity period, 8th grade girls are to go to Mr. Hostler in room 301.
Is that? Where are you going?
Yeah, we have a little less than 40.
It's not bad.
I mean,
How many football? Everybody,
I don't know the exact number, but
there's a few that joined the band at that time. No? That happens.
yeah, well, I know most of our bands have kids, but we have a few that play for the thing and just gonna drop out.
Mr. Franklin,
This is he.
anyone about to pass out now?
Can you do it somewhere else?
That's my name. My name is Mr. Franklin. I had to go all the way outside and let my lights on. It was so stupid. Well, it was foggy this morning, and then
Well, I mean, listen.
it wasn't
I
day.
wish I could stand here and tell you that I never had to have my car jumped because of a car. Wish I could.
I feel so retarded.
from,
Sonia.
oh, I thought it was from the movie.
No, I'm going with Ralphie. You know him. He plays football.
What's his name?
Oh.
I don't know.
He was like, well, he was unattested. I'm not really
What was the score Friday night?
I was captain.
I thought you said you weren't at the game. You didn't make it.
I saw you.
I know, but.
Okay, I don't want to know.
No. Miserable rage. Were you actually at the game?
Yes.
I thought you said you just showed up.
Well, we got there with like half.
You didn't pay to get in, did you?
Yeah.
If you're past, if it's halftime, you wait until third quarter, you know.
Yeah. Did you figure out who I was there for?
No. Does he actually play?
Yeah.
He's one of the main players? Quarterback?
Oh.
I don't see their faces.
Okay, anyways. Well, he plays soccer too, so he's gonna get picked. Anyway. Oh yeah, so Ryan texted me and said, wait, so he's like, Robbie doesn't want to take the phone from me. He's like, can we go now? And I was like, I don't know.
So, someone else asked you
It was
to
his brother,
do
it's his little brother. And then he was like, and I'll take Sarah. And so I took it out.
What's going on? This is the second time I've heard of this package deal. Yes, Mr. Austin. So, go.
Yo.
What was the,
Wait, what was your question?
Wait, why don't you just...
PT?
Okay, so the person that asked you to go to Zinger's weather is older. So...
Did you
Yeah,
really?
so his little brother texted me and was like, hey,
Why?
she's like,
I mean, that's good.
So I texted him.
What happened to the other guy?
Hey, like, Ryan, we didn't have a date. Like, you want to come home? And he's like, oh my God.
What's his name again?
Matt Jones.
Matt, yeah.
And then, so...
I ran one in like
And then,
15.
Sarah, I suppose you
Let's
can
go.
guide. She
Or
doesn't
QB
know
crunch.
where to
Oh,
go.
tell me. It was a one-score game, wasn't it?
Should blew them out. We had pick six, first possession on defense, and then we run down and scored, and then we didn't score the rest of the game. It was bad.
Is it this class?
No, he's good.
We got Campo this week. We're gonna lock in. Who you got? You remember? Cause you had what? Rage and Milky?
Yeah.
Meatballs.
Oh, there you go.
You should go with me for that.
It's funny.
You know you want to. Come on.
But
That's a good
no,
choice.
I'm voting for Manny.
So you have to go
Ellie,
for David.
yeah, you have to open
No, I have to vote for
Maybe
Manny.
keep 2023.
to pull up the upset.
Yeah.
It's looking down.
Yeah, it's looking down, but hey, it's not impossible.
I'm sorry, David.
Nothing is impossible. If I get this one.
Morning, Mike. It's gonna kill it.
Good morning, Miss
Oh, whatever.
PBR.
It's only half the
Looks like it's so
You can see the
That was so not
I can't hear you. They're being too loud. Who is that?
You're not racist. You are.
I called the morning. It was like 555.
Why?
Yeah.
Not Scott. Class out 55 feet.
No flight here this morning. I'm kidding, actually. That makes
Hey, Dina. Negativity. You speak positive things, Emily.
Get away from the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those Steelers, Seth. Stop work. You said that last name, obviously?
What?
Oh. Mr. Franklin, we didn't want
Why is this like so already? Is this, was there a rumor?
It just happens every year. Rumor about what?
Okay, here we go. Lock in. Welcome to Monday, Victory Monday for some of us. Victory Monday for the Clowns, Buckeyes. Not so much a good Monday for Squealer fans. Although, do the Browns Steelers play this next Monday night? Hey, the way the NFL is, one team won 24-3. The other team lost like, I don't know, 40-3 or something. And then that.
Browns are gonna kill us too.
Wait, you guys didn't score? 30-7. So somebody else got beat 40-0. And then the next week, you never know. Steelers probably win. That's the way the NFL is. Not saying that just to give Seth hope. 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15.
Well, the Browns won, and they checked it. You can get in the end zone.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, buddy. The reason why I wanted to check you because I haven't finished.
I had no
peer pressure. I was raising the